Our next guest is making his first appearance on the program with us. Congressman Nathaniel Moran is a Republican who represents Texarkana, Tyler, and Longview in parts of East Texas. We discovered he is not afraid to break with President Trump over the Epstein case and investing in the National Weather Service. Congressman, welcome to the program here.
Thanks, Jason. Great to be with you.
Let's talk severe weather. You're again pushing to get more weather radar coverage in rural parts of the state. How much do you think is really uncovered?
Yeah, there's actually a lot that's uncovered. This bill that I have is called the Rural Weather Monitoring Systems Act. Right. It's the second time we pushed it. We pushed it 2 years ago. It got passed and then got stuck in the Senate. But this is really important because areas like East Texas, Northeast Texas, where I represent, we're caught in between the Dallas-Fort Worth radar system and the Shreveport radar system. And because of that, these low-level systems under 6,000 feet are really hard to see with great detail. What we know is if we can just give a few more minutes of lead time to let folks know specifically where that storm is and where it's coming, they can get to shelter. They can make sure to preserve their property to the degree that they can with those systems running through. But we don't want people to get caught unaware, and that's happening these days.
Some viewers watching this might say, listen, you're a Republican. President Trump and DOJ are talking about cutting the National Weather Service and cut it 14%. Are you proposing to spend more money?
What I'm talking about is really more value to the taxpayer, being more efficient with our tax dollars, because if we don't do these things that I'm talking about, now we're having to come back on the backside and spend more money through FEMA or through other agencies to clean up, to help folks that have been damaged in these situations. I think this is a major point that you bring up, that Republicans really should be talking about value and investment and return on the investment for the dollars spent by the taxpayers, because at the end of the day, if we don't put in money on the front side of certain things, we're going to pay 10 times that on the backside.
We're watching what's happening in Austin too with the redistricting. How concerned are you that the redistricting might backfire and actually cost the GOP seats?
Yeah, I mean, it is a concern. We need to make sure that we're long-term in our view of strategy. This is, you're hearing California talk about the possibility of taking their 52 seats, which are right now 43 Democrats and 9 Republicans, and maybe moving that up to 49 Democrats and 3 Republicans, using some processes there if we are to do it here. So there certainly is some concern about that. I think that we just need to buckle down and do what's right by the citizens and the taxpayers, and the voters will come out and vote the right way.
Congressman, I read that you called on the DOJ to release the Epstein files, saying the American people deserve the truth. Why do you think the Trump administration is not releasing everything, just the grand jury transcripts?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not in those rooms and I don't see the documents, but I've always been a believer on the city council and county government when I was a county judge in Smith County, and still here in Congress, that transparency breeds accountability and is really the key to building trust. And there needs to be trust between the citizens and the constituents and the federal government. Right now there's a whole lack of trust on both sides of the political spectrum. I think releasing the Epstein files would go a long way.
Congress decided to rescind $9 billion in spending. And I've heard some opposition from inside the GOP on this, saying, listen, we're ceding the power of the purse to the executive branch. What do you say to that?
No, I think this was an appropriate move. It's been, I think, since the late 90s, since a rescission package had come through. And when you look at the spending problem over the past 3 decades, it's not just been a Republican problem or a Democratic problem. It's both. Both parties spend way too much money, and we've got to find ways to start reining that spending back in.
But do you think the Republicans in control of Congress are exercising their authority, their legislative authority, their power of the purse enough in this administration?
We need to exercise it more.
You
no
think
question
so?
about that. I absolutely do. I think that Congress needs to make sure that we, at the end of these next 4 years, has set a marker and said, no, there really is separation of powers, and we really do need to be a very strong Article I branch. If you go to Washington, D.C., I give tours, and I love giving tours in Washington, D.C., you'll notice that the center of Washington, D.C., when Pierre L'Enfant, the French engineer, when he laid out Washington, D.C., the very center point of that is the very center of the United States Capitol. It's not the White House. It's not the Supreme Court. It's the Article I branch of government that's the closest to the people, and that is the United States Congress. And so the very center of the Capitol is the center of Washington, D.C., and that was for a purpose.
Congressman, good to see you.